Okay, we are officially live. Hello, everyone, to a very
Hello.
special MechaHack one shot with me and my friends. I'm gonna hit you all with a very special introduction to this game that I wrote up, quite literally, maybe like 30 minutes before the game. That's a lie. I wrote this when I posted the game post in my server. That's false. You could go read it for yourselves if you wanted to. But welcome, everyone, to New Light City, one of the biggest and most bustling cities founded on the Light Arc, a grid of powerful electromagnetical pulses and fields that fuels all within its grasp. New Light City is home to 12 different sectors with its vast walls, and you are being deployed all the way to Sector 12 to defend its Arc Reactors from an oncoming Kaiju Attack. The soldiers on the ground and at the walls weren't prepared. They seemingly never appeared on radar and just suddenly showed up. So it's up to you all, the Light Corps, as you are called, uh, New Light City's best and bravest, to jump into your mechas and defend the reactors before the kaiju can bring ruin to the grid. Now, our story begins in the hangar bay in central New Light City. You have yet to get the call to action. No kaiju alerts have gone off yet, which is perfect for me to say, why don't we go in order, introduce yourself, and introduce your first pilot and mecha, starting with my very good friend, Mr. Redbeard himself, Red Panda Cola.
Hi, I'm Red Panda Cola. Normally, you'd find me with Pie here on Thursdays, playing a certain Sword Saint character. Tonight, I'll be playing character Vitar, call sign Dan Sleeve, as a brawler right now. We'll see how well that goes.
And what would you be doing in the hangar bay right now? It is a massive hangar bay. You know, there are cranes that are holding up mecha pieces, moving them to and fro. There are other workers in the area as well as your squad of other soldiers and mechs in tow. But are you currently in your mech? Are you out of your mech on like the catwalks? Picture this hangar bay like the hangar bay in the first Avatar movie where the general gets into his and like does
Mm-hmm.
the imagine it like that, but obviously his mech except
Bigger.
skyscraper size. Yeah, imagine it like that.
I'm going to imagine, because I'm a fucking weeb, Gundam hangers, because that's the closest thing to this. If anything, because he's just from the way I built him, he's generally pretty fucking awkward dude. Um, Gets along well with his team because of the fact that he's worked with them long enough, but generally, otherwise, no. So he'll probably be up closer to his own mech on a catwalk, just watching everything.
And what does your mech look like?
Good question. Hold on. I had something in mind, but I need to look at fucking. Sorry if I'm cursing too much. I need to look at a.
It's the internet. it's
Look,
it
everyone's different from what they want.
I don't care
Fair.
as long as we're not slinging slurs.
Nope, that is not my game. I do not do that. So, if anything, you see, he's at least the idea is that he's rather life looking, almost animalistic, without being a full animal, still bipedal. You can tell from the way it's built, he's definitely up close, more of a how do I explain this? Sorry, just trying to think on the fly. Not going well. All right.
Do you want us
So
to
it's
circle
very
back?
Yeah, if you could,
All right.
please.
Well then, next up, Mr. Rat King. Introduce yourself. Introduce your first pilot and your first mecha.
So, my pilot um, doesn't really like telling people their real name. Um, Maybe they've even forgotten it. They don't really care. Um, they've come up with a call sign over the years due to their tactics and performance. Um, they've just kind of referred to themselves as mid-switch now. Um, they are about like 6'2", semi-muscular, um, like fur-lined, like leather coat kind of concept, Um, their mech is currently uh, looming in a gigantic, like, curled up ball, almost like a dead spider, um, which we all know is gonna be kind of a Drider form in of itself in its silhouette. Um, uh, Yeah, I just imagine that at the moment he's, just kind of like crooked grin on his face, cigar in mouth, just working on like, his masterpiece.
I'm seeing Elder Maxim from Fallout 4 as I picture this.
Right.
Yeah. Next up, Mr. 6113. Introduce yourself, your first pilot and your first mecha, and what they're doing in the hangar bay.
Well, hello. You can just call me Adrian. But I will be playing. His call sign is Bruise, and kind of cleaning his. He's got fingerless gloves with like armor plating on top of them. He's like making them all shiny, wiping them down with a rag. His mech is already completely ready to go behind him, but there's this. He looks almost like not a kid, like a young kid, like 20 years old or something like that. Shaved head, big faux hawk that's been dyed bright yellow, like highlighter yellow. Um, Glasses. He's very skinny. He's short. He's like 5'2". But behind him, contrasting, is this beefy, big mech. And he's been basically a mech pilot fighting since he was a kid, per his record. But that's not physically fighting, and so he almost looks more like a nerd with a big faux hawk. But yeah, his he doesn't talk about his actual name pretty much, since he just prefers to go by Bruise. But in the mess hall or around the base, he doesn't really look like that. Like he'd be a fighter like that. But behind the pilot seat of his mech, the brawler, he that's where he gets honed in for fighting. His pilot class is a merc, and his chassis is a brawler. Chases.
Hell yeah. Panda, did you figure out a good description?
Uh, so what I'm imagining for the character is that he's wiry, average height male, you know, darkish, messy hair that kind of he doesn't really keep it up much. He's been a soldier since he was a kid, forced to fight for a while, so he doesn't know how to take care of himself all that well. So, without being absolutely filthy, he's definitely more unkept. Um, Again, shoulder length, messy hair, basic fatigue looking clothing because he doesn't know anything else. His mech, on the other hand, speaks more to a what lies more underneath. He's kind of a wild child in battle, and it definitely shows in the mech. It's darker colors, a lot of blacks and grays. Fingertips of the mech itself are more like claws, so it's still the five, typical humanoid fingers, but clawed, a wicked looking axe with it. And just for the sake of some sort of distance, you see a submachine gun looking rifles attached to the back of the mech itself. It's very lithe, looking like it's trying to keep itself, unlike maybe some of his counterparts, instead of a larger target, more smaller in order to get closer, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping lighter armor in order to maximize his movements better. He very much prefers up close, and it shows in the way he this mech is built.
And
if I could explain it the most for anyone who might get this reference, and again, I am an anime nerd. I think Gundam Barbatos is the best way I can explain it, because that is the closest thing in my mind for this.
And as you're all in this hangar bay area, you will notice that, as I said, you are the Light Corp. You are the best of New Light City. New Light City is one of many Arc Light cities in this, I guess, on this planet, if you will. The planet itself is basically picture Coruscant, except built upon these gigantic, like, electrical grids instead of underworld. And you would notice that one of the little hangar docking areas is empty, whether that means your fourth teammate is already out on a mission or whatever. They are not currently in the hangar bay, but might Titanfall later. You are all in the hangar bay, cleaning your mech, smoking a cigar, doing whatever, when I'm imagining what is a wrist-mounted gauntlet that you all have, being members of the Light Corps, starts to ping with a mission alert as the entirety of the hangar starts flashing red, and whirring siren goes off as all of you look to your little gauntlet, and it is saying words that have not been mentioned in at least a couple of years. In big, bold words, it reads, Kaiju Attack, Sector 12. Deploy the Light Corps. What do you do?
Dude, are you seeing this, you guys? I'm looking at my data pad watch thing, whatever. Is this reading it right? Is this actually, does that say kaiju?
That's what I'm seeing.
I imagine as soon as like the wrist mount starts like kaiju, like, going off, mid-switch looks at it, and it's like, to everyone else he just looks perfectly calm, but internally he is PTSD triggering like real hard, and just like, oh, they're back, like freaking out.
And just like you're internally freaking out, all the workers in this hangar are similarly freaking out. There are people, the bright oranges running to and fro. There are people who were working on maybe undeployed mechs, dropping their tools and running to different stations. And you all begin to hear the sounds of what can only be described as helicopter blades, but size them up to, 500%. As what you would all know to be essentially a helicarrier, but in the sky, which is very simply called a mecha carrier. You can see beyond the hangar bay, there's like a window at the edge where you would all deploy, and you can see outside this massive, massive carrier is making its way to the hangar, seemingly, what you can assume to be is to grab all of you.
I'm gonna tap mid switch on. You're way taller than me by at least a foot, right? So I'm just gonna tap you on the shoulder, like, let's roll. Go get in my mech.
The physical contact, like, essentially snaps mid switch out of the like periodic, like, helicopter blade like sounds, like Flight of the Valkyrie in the back of his head. So he
Yeah,
snaps to and just
if this
starts like
man
getting in.
if this man already had PTSD, I just sent him to Mecha Nam with the helicopter
about to
blades.
Stereotypical nom flashbacks. Yep.
Mechanom, that's great. I think Bruce is probably gonna die based off of his stats.
Feel that.
I'm gonna start on my second character just in case. But yeah, I will get in my mech and I will power everything on. Pacific Rim music plays.
What is now? This is a fun question that I think you've asked before in games you've ran, and I love it. What does the inside of your piloting seat look like when all the lights go on? What does Bruce see, and what by extension do we, the audience, see?
I think it's a lot of plush red velvet interior. Everything's been like recoded and resurfaced, so everything's soft and comfortable for him. He's got his prescription goggles on, switches out his glasses, stretches out his scrawny little arms, and he's got his polished gloves, grabs the handle joystick ride things, whatever, and just everything powers on, and just like in Avatar, he like does the test punch and then starts to like walk out slowly until he sees the helicarriers coming.
And there is like a quote unquote landing platform outside of the hangar bay, except
that's what I'm imagining.
Except the landing platform isn't for the mecha carrier, it's for the mechas to get attached to the carrier. The platform is actually quite small in regards to the mecha carrier. It is big enough for the mechs to individually stand on. So as you power up and set out there, mid switch, as you jump in, what does your interior look like? What are we welcomed to?
His interior is interesting. It just kind of looks like a tiny sphere, like just almost big enough for him to get into, with like no displays or windows or anything like that. It's like he like sits down in this like silken chair and then like takes a cord and just like plugs it into the back of his head as it like integrates his nervous system into the system itself.
I love that. And as you power up and begin joining Bruce on the little hangar bay landing pad, Panda, give me your call sign again. What is it? What's your mecha?
Down sleeve.
Right. Okay. So as you jump in, what do we see as you flick the switches on?
So, one sec, as I also pull up an image for me to best describe this. When he jumps in, it's kind of like a top-down cockpit. So he jumps in from above, and when he gets in, it's a very basic. I shouldn't even say basic. It's not as plush or as comfortable looking as maybe some others, but it gets the job done. It's more leaning into allowing him to stand almost with a sort of seated position rather than just sitting in it. So he has foot pedals to move the legs and grip controls with a series of like visual monitors kind of in front of him and his peripherals as well to simulate, the field of vision that his mech might have. And a startup screen on it that, shows the call sign of his mech as he grips the manipulators.
Hell yeah.
That's a good word. Manipulators.
And
Yeah.
you set out, and the three of you in tow begin heading into the hangar bay with this giant mecha carrier. Like these giant, essentially Pacific Rim, these giant hooks launch down and latch onto all of you to begin flying into the field towards Sector 12. However, we have one final person who is here before they then have to go. A Mr. Oh no, everything's messed up. Oh god. Oh, my everything's messed up. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Everything will be fixed during the break. Oh, good lord. Maybe it won't be. I don't know. But everything's broken. But Javante, introduce yourself. Introduce your pilot. Introduce your mech.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary findings and hellions of all walks of life. I'm Javante. I'm playing Kolsi Ilyich, call sign Igor, who uses a scout mech, which looks predominantly like if you just took all of the siding from a lot of like nuclear warehouses and facilities and just stuck it all onto a vaguely humanoid-shaped thing. With what is akin to a revolver, which just seems to have also been made from sticking bits and pieces of nuclear facilities onto a vaguely gun-shaped item. The interior of his mech, however, looks very similar to a Slavic cab. He doesn't have a chair. He has what's essentially just like a piece of a couch that he has pushed in. With a rug draped over the top of it so that it doesn't, show off all of the holes and pieces in it. He does have an air freshener hanging off of, like, what would be the rear view mirror, which is just another series of buttons and switches that don't do anything, he thinks.
Biggest question, though. Big, important question. What scent?
Black ice.
Ooh.
The best scent.
Yep.
As for the helmet that he wears, it looks like an old school World War I gas mask. With a few buttons and switches on the side that predominantly also don't do anything. But as the communicator pops on, there's just hard bass that plays initially. You're doing all right up there.
And that is fed to the three of your communications as we find you already in the field, maybe on a previous mission, where when you would get the call that Sector 12 is under attack. And so you've already set off. You're already nearing Sector 12 by the time your voice hits the comms and asks if everyone... And it's very visible. It is, despite the city being mass skyscrapers, it's not hard to miss essentially a helicarrier from Marvel carrying 3 gigantic mechs. So even, from Sector 12, you can very clearly see the 3 of them being carried as that voice hits the rest of your comms asking if you're doing okay up there. From your 4th teammate. Should any of you respond?
Mid-switch is trying to respond, but is currently in the midst of I imagine every time that the nervous system connection is formed, there's a little bit of that bleh, bleh. So they're just trying to hello, what's up?
I heard there was big nasty in Sector 12.
Yeah, you gotta get in line. I'm first.
Oh, you're first this time.
Yeah, a flex. Do all the pauses on the landing strip waiting.
It's going to be very interesting for you to be first. You are still in hangar, comrade.
Oh, can I run out to the front? Oh, well, you're already in the front, aren't you?
I'm already on the field.
He's in the field, already nearing Sector 12. You guys are currently in the air. You guys have been hooked on.
Okay, we already got in. Okay,
and the mecha carrier is currently flying over the city. I will say, again, mechs are gigantic, and you're in the sky, currently hooked to a large carrier. If you guys were to look outside of your cockpits, you would see your comrade running, walking, jetting. What are you? How are you moving through the sectors?
His mech, just from how it's designed, it looks like it should be running like bipedally. It is like full four-legged sprinting, which looks weird. Granted, call sign Igor is a very weird person in general, so the mech reflects that, making the joke of he's a pariah. So it's we're good with visual references. It's the most like horror movie creature sprinting on all fours like thing.
So
Uh,
like the Wolfman, or
yeah, very much so.
so from the sky, you all see this gigantic mech wolf sprinting through these city streets, keeping pace, might I add, with the mecha carrier heading towards Sector 12.
Don't burn your reactor. Pace yourself down there.
I'm pacing myself just fine.
Mid-switch looks over in kind of a more of a, that Drider, like half spider, half man looking kind of silhouette, kind of like mech looks, and goes, well, you don't see one of those every day.
I think his comm will cut out there as now he's like, all right, focus on the thing in front of me.
And would you like to roll me first roll of the game, and we're gonna have it be the man in the field. Let me. I actually gotta reread what the rolls are. I believe it is. I think it's systems for computers.
Okay.
Yes, testing sensors and computers is a system roll, please, Igor. And you want lower than your attribute.
Well, that's so annoying, is that my first roll is going to be a failure because I rolled exactly what my systems is.
Oh, yeah, if you meet, it is unfortunately a fail. So, as you are running through the streets, you are not ambushed, per se, but you are definitely taken aback a little bit as you're nearing Sector 12 and the wall that kind of interlocks between the sectors. You can see this massive gate ahead of you that is open, seemingly blasted open. Essentially, a black hole begins forming in front of you, and as you're sprinting, multiple of these black holes begin appearing around you as what are essentially the Mothra larvae begin just dropping from them as these little but massive kaiju with gnashing teeth just drop out of these black holes, like directly along your path into Sector 12.
So good.
And from the skies, I'm not going to have the three of you roll systems because black holes aren't hard to miss. You can see the forming of these black holes along your teammate's pathway, and these massive kaiju begin dropping out of them.
I probably don't say it with the comm active, but I like swear and like his jaw drops. I don't think I've ever seen a kaiju before. So the whole thing here is like, this is not the same as like mech to mech brawling, training, stuff like that.
How about the other two, as you now see the kaiju for the first time? They're not as big as you'd expect, but then again, you also expect that these probably aren't the biggest.
mid-switch, just like, they used to get bigger than that, so, keep your eyes open.
Oh boy. Let's see here. I think Vidar would just kind of seem to. He doesn't talk a lot. Let's be honest. He just seems to kind of lock in at the side of this, like, oh, okay, it's fight time. Let's go.
And as you guys begin to lock in and get ready for fight time, you notice that Igor does get ready for this fight and stances up in their mech to fight. However, you begin to fly over him. The mecha carrier is going deeper into District 12 and past Igor. And as it flies over him, you notice that for how quickly this struck, a lot of damage has been dealt. There are flames, there are destroyed buildings, and you can see in the distance 2 massive reactors. Except they're not like, nuclear reactors. They are these essentially gigantic, skyscraper-sized, almost like Tesla coils that seem to spark every now and then that are powering the city. You would know that these are the arc reactors that power New Light City and send surges through the grid. And you are several blocks away from it when you are eventually let go from the hooks and slam into the ground. Likely leaving craters, but in a city that has mecha defense, they probably spare a lot of money for fixing the craters.
Or it's just like playground turf where it's like squishy.
It's a trampoline.
How close do we land to where the portal was, or is that kind of behind us?
You have gone past where Igor was last seen fighting. And as you guys land, you get a voice communications from the essentially on high telling you that the arc reactors are your primary concern. Head to them as fast as possible. Do not let the kaiju take them.
Alrighty, well, you heard the voice on high. I'll pull off my shield from the back, and then I will consider for my primary hand, and I'll decide to pull out my machine gun. And by machine gun, I mean a mech machine gun, so it's quite large.
You pull
But
out a
it's,
cannon, basically.
it's a light weapon.
Yeah, you pull out what is equivalent to a tank cannon. Yeah.
Do I know where the reactors are that we're supposed to go?
You would have
Like,
like a video
defend.
game style like arrow in your mecha's HUD that would have been sent to you that maps out the city. But also it's not hard to miss. The arc reactors are as tall as skyscrapers around you. So as you land and power up and get your weapons at the ready, what about the other two? What does it look like as you guys drop and get your weapons at the ready?
I'll let you go first.
For context, for anyone who couldn't see, they were doing rock paper scissors.
All right, I'll go. Fuck it. For Downsleeve, he kind of drops and lands heavy, mostly in a crouch, pulling out his axe, and then you just see him start bolting off in the direction of where the arc reactor is. Just straight there, taking the shortest path possible.
How about the Spider-Man?
So, essentially, it's just like, because it's a Colossus chassis, it's so freaking huge. It's just like latched like a spider up underneath the like carrier and just like unravels and like does the like fall land, right? And then after that,
Superhero
the
landings.
bottom of the hangar opens up and drops a freaking chainsword greatsword that's bigger than the mech that it catches as it comes down and latches over its shoulder.
Full Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
All right.
If I see Dawn Sleeve starting to run, I'm gonna be like, "Race you there!" And then I want to activate my boost sprint, and I would like to try to overtake and pass him.
Okay. How about this? Both of you roll mobility, and Bruise, I'll give you advantage on it.
It's funny you say that because I also have booster sprint.
Yes, I love it. I'm gonna roll my reactor. My pass. So that's 2 for 1 movement, but mobility check versus you, I guess.
So, how do the reactor die work for that for rolling?
So if you're going to use anything that is like a module or a special ability that says roll reactor, you should have a reactor die, D6 or 8 or 10 or whatever,
Yep.
and you just roll that, and then if it's a 1 or 2, then it downsizes. Otherwise, you're good.
Gotcha.
So if you have a D8 reactor and you get a 1 or
Cool.
2, it decreases to the next
I'm good.
stage. Yep. So you both doing the booster sprint race?
I love this. I didn't know you had that, and this is amazing.
All right.
So do we both
cool. I
get
got a nat
counter
one.
advantage?
So
Oh, I can't think I can beat it.
well, you can get a nat 1.
Even with the advantage, I failed both.
So so
my boost is not good.
here's what happens. Mid switch, you land, and you see both of your teammates, like the feet of their mechs, like let out these jet boosters and these massive jet engines, and suddenly they are sprinting through the city streets towards the arc reactor. Bruise is left in the dust, however, as this race towards the reactors is happening before you. What is your reaction to this?
He kind of just kind of laughs and is like, you know, like, yeah, don't stay underfoot, but I mean, don't get cocky. Don't rush into anything you can't handle. And it's just like slowly lumbering. My mech's not even fast. It's just like slow, steady crashing.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, with the fail, I can see Dawn Sleeve way probably ahead, and there's like no hope. So instead, I'm just gonna turn around and wait for mid switch to come, and then just kind of like hitch a ride on one of the legs and just grab on. It's like, yeah, you're right. We'll just play this smart and smooth.
And with that, will Donsleeve, will you roll me a systems, please, as you are sprinting through the city streets?
Oh boy, that'll go so well. Let's see. Yeah, that's a fail. That's 11. And I got a 5, so failure.
Ooh, yeah, that is rough there. I need to see something for this. Okay. So, as you sprint off through the city streets, you are properly ambushed as around you 3 black holes appear. And 3 different kaijus pop out, believe it or not.
Oh boy.
You see these similar, like Mothra larva, massive worms with gnashing teeth drop onto the city street. However, one appears like in the middle of them, directly before you, kind of halting your stop. You have to like skid your massive mech feet, probably ripping up the street as you do so.
So, can I flavor this?
Yes, you can.
Because of as he dashed forward, I'm going to be emphasizing a lot. He's very animalistic in the way he is like low to the ground, rushing in, even with the boosts, as he's kind of like zipping in. So when he sees this, knowing he can't stop on a dime, given all the the inertia behind him, you'll see the claws, fingers dig into the ground behind him as he starts skidding to a stop.
Badass. And as you stop just in time as the third kaiju appears directly in front of you. If you've watched Pacific Rim, Otachi, the one that I believe, the first one that jumps out of the water in the very beginning, the one that fights alongside Leatherback. I think it's the one that has the acid spit.
I was going to say the one with the wings.
Yeah, that one, and the kind of like three-pronged tail. That essentially appears out of this black hole in front of you and bares its claws and roars at you, as we will begin our first initiative, which will involve, let me read this here. Each mecha tests their mobility or system. If they succeed, you will take your turn before the enemies. If you fail, you take your turn after the enemies. So everyone roll mobility or system to see where we fall.
That is another failure.
It's a fail.
Fail.
Ooh, the monsters are first. Alright, so I have my monster cards here. Very lovely. Let's see, what do I want to do here? Well, I already said that the Otachi-looking kaiju roared at you. So what's going to happen is, it is close to you. It is in the range of close. It is going to use its roar ability. I will need you to roll a presence, please, Donsleeve.
Oh boy. Pass as a 7.
All right, you managed to pass as the roar shakes your mecha, or actually doesn't shake your mecha. You are able to steel yourself and avoid the potential downfall to your reactor core that this roar could have caused. And I need to look at movement real quick. So what the little spawnlings basically are going to do, because they are not close or near, the tyrant, as or the drone as it is called, started close to you. The little worms are just simply going to inch their way closer to you. That will be their turns, as you are currently essentially surrounded on all fronts by these trio of suddenly appearing kaiju. Which brings us to the mecha turns, which works, the three of you decide who wants to go first. You guys work in tandem together. It's not one after the other, higher initiative. The three of you decide who would like to go first in this combat phase.
That's a good
Like
question.
Dawn's sleeve is just right there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I am right there. You said they're not close in melee, right?
So the kaiju drone is currently close in melee. The two spawnlings, the Mothra larva looking kaiju, had to inch their way closer, so they are near, not close. They are. If you moved once, you could get into striking distance, but for melee, the Otachi-looking kaiju is directly up in your face.
Okay. Then, just for the sake of not having to move, I'm going to just use my laser axe, the wicked-looking axe that he usually carries, to swipe at it immediately
Hell yeah.
after forward at him. So, let me. I'm assuming this is a power roll, correct?
Yes.
That is a failure.
What's your power?
12, and I got a 16.
Ooh, so
You can.
Hmm?
Sorry, just a reminder: if you are not moving, you can take a second attack action after rolling your reactor. You can do 2 of the same actions with a reactor die if you wish.
I will do that.
All right, roll reactor.
That was a 2.
So it would downsize by 1, but it would be still successful.
Okay.
So yeah, it is.
4,
So
and I will make another roll to attack. Awesome. This is a 4, so that was a pass.
that will strike. Roll your damage
Will do.
as you strike the drone.
Well, that's very disappointing. That was a 1.
Well, it's not dead, but because we're mechs and we like to describe things, what does it look like as you slam into the drone as it's, I imagine like classic kaiju, it probably gushes out a spurt of green blood.
Mm-hmm. So, as he missed the first one, he kind of comes back around and slams it into the side as, that ichor spurts out before running it the rest of the way across to create the rest of the wound.
And as it drags across, more of the green, like fluorescent blood begins spurting out. Your laser axe, is it a like generic like solid laser, or is it like made of heat? Like does the blood sizzle on the axe?
So, I'm very much thinking the stereotypical. I'm gonna keep making these references because we're in a fucking that game. Heat axe, like a Zaku heat axe, where after it comes off, you can see and hear the sizzling, hawking of the blood just boiling off the side, the edge of it.
Hell yeah. So as you swing your axe and cut into it, Bruise mid switch, who's next? I'll say you guys are maybe you guys would be at a, I want to say, was it close, near, far? There's one in between far. Okay. So
no, it's close, near, far, distant.
You guys would be at far from the current battle, just because of how quick Dan's leave was.
Yeah. So, I don't know, mid-switch, did you want to go or should I?
You can go if you would like.
Okay, I will take a move action to move from far to near, which puts me in range with the light submachine gun. So I will be like running, and I've got a very basic humanoid mech, unlike more like a panther is what I'm imagining. Dawn sleeves is more like when you're running. So, but for me, I'm just like. As soon as I get in range, I'll skid to a stop, brace my machine gun on the shield, and I just want to light up the drone that he just shot. He just hit.
All right, go for it.
So this will be a power. I need a 9, under a 9, which is a fail. And since I moved, I don't have a second action, so that is my turn.
And
so just pepper the building behind.
And it's like, for anyone who knows Warhammer, I imagine a mecha submachine gun firing sounds like a bolter, except bigger and much louder. And bolters are all it's a heavy bolter, exactly. Mid switch, you're last.
Definitely taking your movement While entering the next location, I still am not close enough to be effective in combat, but I will take a use action to enter into garrison mode. So that will be a reactor die. Where is my reactor die? Where is my D? Oh, there it is. I am sad. Okay, so I fail. I mean, I don't. I rolled a 5. I didn't fail. I just failed to do the thing I wanted to do. I enter garrison mode. Uh, bu- 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 So essentially, as I enter in garrison mode, certain aspects of my like armor and my like defenses and stuff start to like shift and rearrange, and like almost more of it like compartmentalizes out of other armor kind of concept.
All right, so you're kind of like forming up.
Yeah.
All right. So then we will go back to the kaiju turns. The drone doesn't appreciate that it just got almost, bisected, believe it or not. So Dansleeve, I'm gonna need you to make a mobility roll as it comes down upon you with its claws, or tries to. It's kind of like it's got like 4 fingers. It doesn't have 5, and each finger has these massive claws to it, almost like a raptor's foot, but hands.
Yep. So mobility's 12, and I just got an 11, so that's a pass.
So you are able to avoid the incoming claws that strike at you, but I did forget something actually. Previously, as you cut into it, maybe you haven't noticed it till now, but you feel that okay, this is a weird question. How connected to you are how connected to your mech are you? Like when your mech takes damage, do you feel the damage? Are you like that locked in?
Okay, so yes. I didn't know how far like the neural connections in this game went for that, so I didn't exactly touch on it, but yes, he does feel very much like, Pacific Rim or Iron-Blooded Orphans, where the pilot feels the pain of the damage done to the mech.
So you would now feel some damage as the acid blood from the drone begins to eat away at your mech for 1 point of damage.
And where would I take that out of? Armor or hit points?
You can choose.
I will remove it from my armor.
All right. And the 2 spawnlings are going to move from near to far and actually move past you, Dansleeve, and they are currently crawling towards Bruce. They are going to get up in Bruce's space, but that is all they're going to do. Which actually, as they move past you, Dansleeve, if you would like to take an opportunity attack on either the left or the right spawnling, you may do so, as they are kind of converging past both your sides.
And it's just a reaction that's costing me, correct?
Yes, if you would like to take that.
Yes, I would actually. Just because he's not about to let any of them get by him without any damage done to it. Perfect. That's a pass as 10 under 12.
All right. Can you deal 1 point of damage?
Let me see. Yes. Exactly.
How do you kill one of the spawnlings? What does it look like?
So
it tries inching past you.
I'm going to say it's the opposite side that his axe is on. So after dodging the attack from the main kaiju in front of him, he's going to kind of swing around using the momentum to use the axe to do an upward swing to slice the other one in half.
And as
it comes by,
upward swing and slice this spawning in half. I will say, because it was moving past you, I'm going to say the acidic blood from the spawning does not damage you as it gets sent flying in the opposite direction. However, you probably did just force a poor citizen to have to spend a shit ton of money to rebuild as it begins melting into a nearby skyscraper.
Well, there's collateral damage.
As I said, the city probably pays for it. I mean, when you're dropping mechs from the sky, you probably have to take some liberties.
You have some sort of insurance, otherwise the city will eat itself.
Yeah. It's like the MCU. If you don't get Hulk insurance, then something's wrong.
Don't have damage control. Oh boy.
Back to the mechas. So the current situation. The Otachi-looking drone is still in front of Dansleeve, and in front of Bruise, there's now a tiny little, Mothra larva in front of you.
If Bruiser wants to go first.
I kind of want to leave the little one for the giant spider colossus with me. So I am going to... How far... So what's the name of the big kaiju again?
The big kaiju is a drone.
Okay, how far away is that from me?
So you moved once from far to near.
Yeah, so I'm near to Panda, but...
So near to close would be the... You would have to move one more to be... Yeah, you would have to move one more to be up on the drone.
Okay, that's interesting. So I am going to use an ability, a module, and I can attack. Let's see. Oh no, I have to be close for that. So okay, so I am going to take the move action to jump over the larva and just leave it for a mid switch, and then once I get close, I want to try to drop the pistol and then just go for a punch attack.
Okay.
With my fist.
So when you attack without a weapon, you deal 1 damage die lower than your standard damage die.
So it'd be a D6 instead of a D8.
Yeah.
So that's a 5 under a 9. So I hit, and then as soon as I connect, my piston fists are going to activate and jet into the kaiju for an extra damage roll with 2 damage. Oh no, for an extra free attack, it says.
Ooh.
So piston fists once per moment. When you deal damage with an unarmed or improvised attack, which let me roll that damage. So a D6 instead of a D8. 5 damage. I can roll my reactor die, which is a D6. And that's a pass for 3 out of 6. To make an additional attack as a free action, which deals an extra 2 damage. So I don't get to roll the die again, but I get to make a second attack.
Go for it.
So it's 4 under 9, so that's a hit, but I think it only does 2 extra damage. I don't think I get to roll.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. How do you obliterate the drone with your piston?
If it's a center of mass, if there's some sort of heart system or anything like that, when my jets go, my fist just goes inside of it, maybe pops out the back, and then just retracts through it. So there's 2 holes, one in and one back out.
And as you
fist.
As you retract the fist, you do notice that your mecha arm is sizzling a little bit, as you will take 1 point of acid damage from its acid blood.
Inside the mech, you can see me just laughing maniacally. I'll just do this with my shiny fingerless gloves, but on the outside the mech is just doing this too, and blood splattering everywhere. I'll mark off 1 point of armor.
And last but not least, Dansleeve, you have a tiny little kaiju spawnling in front of you. Or not Dansleeve, mid-switch, I'm sorry. Mid-switch.
Yep.
I'm getting the beautiful bearded men mixed up.
So mid switch will is it near to me or
yes,
close?
It is you and Bruce right next to each other, so I guess it would be close to you.
Okay. So essentially, that saves me so much time. I am going to use my attack action, which I'm just gonna like take this like huge greatsword and essentially create a roadblock with this absolute wall of a fucking sword and just bring it vertically down. That is a pass with a 12.
Can you do 1 point of damage?
Wait, what?
Can you do 1 point of damage?
Oh yeah, I can totally 3 actually. But I get to add a D4 to that. So I'm gonna
Go all out.
do that now. That would be a 1.
Okay.
So 1 additional damage.
What does it look like as you kill the spawnling?
I just like cut it in half, and because I don't like, I'm sure I know it's dead, but I just really don't like kaiju. So I'm gonna roll my reactor die to rev my chain blade.
Did you blow up?
And that's a 6 on the die. So as I rev my chain blade, vents all along my chain blade and down my the reactor of my chain blade and like the reactor of my core just start venting kinetic thermal exhaust as the chain blade thing happens. So that's going to be 2 more d6 of damage.
There's a hole
Which
in the
is
ground.
8 more damage.
You are cutting a hole. You are cutting directly into the street at this point.
I'm like cutting into the sewer, like, oh yeah, I'm making construction jobs right now.
We're contributing to the economy.
as the final kaiju falls, before Igor gets re-added into the fold, we're going to take a tiny little break, a tiny little bathroom break, because you boys got to use the bathroom. So we're just going to go on break for a little bit. I'm going to put ourselves on the BRB screen for the stream. I'm going to throw some fun music on for everyone watching. Arc is here in the stream. Arc, thank you for watching. He has told Javante, combine your mech reactor with the morphing grid and go Dragon Caesar on these kaiju.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And to Panda, use the secret move of transforming into a kaiju yourself.
Oh, don't worry.
And yes, we will be going to the waiting screen in between. So everyone use the bathroom if you gotta get snacks. I'm gonna get myself snacks, and we'll be back in 5 or so. right. Oh god, my everything is broken again. Alright, we're gonna fight through this. I'm gonna fix this while we play. I love it when my everything breaks, even though it was perfectly fine before. Oh
I think you
god.
disconnected this time.
Yeah, it was on me this time. Okay, so as we jump back and as I frantically fix everything so that it is good and well, as the gore of the kaiju drips off of all of you respectively, and the HUD on your screens again lights up with the direction towards the arc reactors, you all can hear, the three of you can hear stomping closing in nearby, loud stomping. Which, as you prepare your weapons for whatever is approaching, you see the silhouette on your HUDs of a friendly mech. A friendly mech covered in gore, dripping fluorescent blood and purple bits. Igor, as you rejoin the party, I'd like to imagine that the Light Corp forced the installation of the map HUD into your mech from the sounds of how your mech works. They probably forced it upon you. But you reappear to the party after dealing with the little spawnlings that were plaguing you at the start.
I like to imagine my mech has like a version of like a Windows screen that people can see, and then just very subtly covered in this like kaiju gore, you just see just a little windshield wiper just. Y'all have fun without me.
You sure missed it, Igor. You should have seen my kill. And I hold up my hand, which is all still bloody and covered with acid vicar.
Mech head slowly turns to look at the giant hole made in the street. And looks at the sword.
Picks up sword as the rubble starts just falling down from this huge, just like overly size. Like, where did we even get the material for it, right? and
I think,
and like just a grin as he's like got the spider.
And I think you missed out on the description, Javante. He is essentially wielding a skyscraper-sized chainsword from 40K.
A titan with a chainsword, buff beloved. All right. Yeah, just the most just mech head like looks up and down. I missed quite a bit. Where is the big one?
Dead. It points.
To a kaiju that has a hole in its chest from piston fists.
Technically 2 holes.
I'm impressed, but we get cold. All 4 of us get cold for a small issue like this.
No, we needed to get to the reactors still. There could be more of these things.
Oh, good.
And as your HUD lights up with the direction towards the reactor, all of you do see the reactor kind of jolt out and send these sparks. However, the one glaring difference in the reactors that you could see is, aside from their normal work being massive arc reactors, there are currently 2 giant-sized, what can only be described as spider kaijus clinging to the side of each reactor, trying to devour them. And you are all several blocks away from the reactor, but they are so massive that it is easy to see through the streets.
Well,
Oh, there it is.
I'm gonna pick up my submachine gun.
A moment, and I will also just like move Mech back into horror movie crawl form and begin to head towards the reactor.
All right. So Igor sets off. How about the rest of you? You guys, are the two of you activating your sprint boost? Or are you gonna hitch a ride with the spider?
I'm gonna move, but not with the boost. I'm just gonna move normal, kind of a hustle.
That's a good question. I think I'm just gonna stick to normal speed this time.
All right. So, and I imagine mid switch, you're spider stomping down the streets. I'm gonna let you decide. Do you leave tiny little potholes as you walk?
I don't even think they're tiny. I think they're like the size of like a freaking Volkswagen bus, like every single one of them, and like
tiny for a
every
kaiju.
every once in a while, one
mecha.
of them like hits a water main and just like water starts geysering up, and he's just laughing about it. Like,
You're somehow worse than the kaiju.
Well, listen, the city has money for this.
Your city is safe. You're welcome.
And some of the kaiju get pretty big. We have to have stop measures.
As I've described earlier, when you're deploying mechs from a giant helicarrier and you're dropping them into city streets that likely leave craters, you probably set aside money to repair. So as you all lumber, run, sprint, act like a horror movie villain down the massive city streets, can all of you roll me a systems, please?
Fail.
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 Oh.
Success.
Okay. That is good. So the others do not see it. But Igor, whether fortunately or unfortunately for you, your display HUD that was installed by the Light Corp does come in handy. As you're sprinting down, you're running through on all fours through the massive city streets, and these city streets are built for kaiju or for mechas. You aren't squeezing in between buildings. This is a city for mechs. They know how to build for a city for mechs. You get a ping on your radar. It's not in front of you. It's not to the sides of you. It is very much above you. And it is not of mech origin. And you are the only one of your team that notices it.
Oh.
And about this time when you go, oh, as you're ahead of the group and running a bit forward, I will say, because you're the only one who succeeded, you also have the shadow of essentially Rodan coast over you and past you. And you are able to spot and see said shadow just gliding over you.
Oh.
I'm so happy I know Kaiju.
If you didn't know Rodan, I'd be so upset. Everyone knows him.
Yeah. You pull out like Anguirus or something, that may be different. I'm going to. If it's just passing over, I'm not stopping my momentum, but just over comms. There is flying one above.
And if the rest of you look up, I will give you all a very quick glimpse. You all see a quick glimpse before it disappears behind some buildings. It is you at least for Igor, you do get the notifications that it is seemingly heading in your direction. It is keeping pace with where you guys are going. And for the rest of you, before you see it disappear behind the building, you notice it kind of has these less pterodactyl wings and more like giant membrane wings that are almost like a kite that are connected in one piece as it is soaring through the sky, and you get the glimpse of the back part of the wings and these massive clawed feet as it just glides past a building out of your sight.
Is this Camazotz? Like, hold on.
Listen, when you're dealing with a holy hell amount of kaiju universes, things are gonna be mixed up.
Yeah. Alright, we're fighting Camazotz. Based.
Does the Light Corps have aerial unit mechs? Or is it all ground-based with customization for that?
So the Light
Like, is this-
Corps are mostly ground-based mechs.
Mm-hmm.
They do have an Air Force, but the Air Force is more like, your futuristic sci-fi jets.
It's like jets, yeah.
Versus flying
Like a
flying mecha.
It's Super X 1, 2, and 3, and then we get Mogira.
Mm-hmm.
There's a poll.
I mean, do we need to engage if it's flying? If it's not going, like our objective is after the reactor, right? To guard it.
It's gonna be a problem, though.
Igor,
Can tell if it's heading towards the reactor.
you would know with your systems that it is currently at least keeping pace and flying like directly overhead of you guys in the same direction.
Okay, so it's doing the hunting thing.
Does anyone have heavy weapons or something to draw its attention?
You know what? I could. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, is there a way to improvise throwing something?
Yeah, I think that would just be an improvised weapon, which would be
Am I the only one with a gun?
I have a small gun. It's a light.
I have a
machine gun.
submachine gun. So
Okay, cool. I was making sure.
So
no.
it would technically be an improvised weapon. You can
Uh-huh.
do a power roll. The improvised weapon would be one die down than your other from your basic mecha
For my
damage.
gun.
Yes. So
Okay.
what are you picking up off the? Are you gonna ask mid switch to cut off a piece of building for you and chuck it?
So I would imagine that there would be some sort of, because not all these skyscrapers around them, but I'm assuming some of them might have antennas.
Oh yes, 100%.
So as he sees this, he's gonna reach over to grab one and rip it off the top of the building before aiming to hurl it like a fucking javelin at this
All right,
thing.
roll your power.
One sec. Nope, that's a failure. A big failure. I hope there's no critical failures, because that would be one.
Did you roll a 20?
Uh-huh.
There are critical failures.
Oh boy.
So if you roll a 20 or I think it's at least when you're avoiding attacks, at least, because when you roll a 20 to avoid an attack, you take double damage and have to roll your reactor die. But you're doing an attack, so what happens is I'm gonna play it like this. What happens is you throw this antenna.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the failure is going to get its attention. I'm just going to say that off the bat. Because it's a giant... I mean, why not, right? In a game with kaijus, I want you guys to fight kaijus. So it's going to get your attention. However, as you throw this antenna and it crashes into a building, and essentially cuts a skyscraper in two. The skyscraper starts tilting and crashes down into the city street. And you and Igor are in front of the debris. Bruce and Midswitch are behind the debris. As everyone now sees as it attaches itself to the side of another skyscraper. Again, this membraned-like wingspan that looks like a kite attached to this creature. Large clawed feet attaching and ripping into the skyscraper itself to gain hold. This massive flying kaiju, scaled to no end, predator-like jaw that unhinges and roars at you all. And the best part is, before we roll initiative, you can tell, and I'm gonna take some beats from a franchise that I hope everyone loves. You are able to recognize the signs of something charging up from within its mouth. As this blue light shines from within it, and we're gonna roll initiative. So system or mobility. If you fail, the kaiju goes first. If you succeed, you go first.
I can't believe that Panda is the reason I died to a kaiju beam.
Fails on my side.
Wow, I failed.
It's what two things?
System or mobility.
System.
Whichever is better for you.
Oh,
I
good.
rolled a
So
3.
I rolled a 10.
Is that a success for you?
That's a success for me.
Okay, so
Yeah, I failed.
let me get my order on a sticky note. I've gone to sticky note GMing.
Gone to plaid.
Alright, so Igor, Midswitch, the two of you get to decide who goes first. Igor, you are in front of the debris. You are the closest to the kaiju. The kaiju would be considered at far distance just because of how it's attached to a skyscraper. Midswitch, you are behind the debris, so you guys are cut off from each other, and you guys get to decide who would like to go first.
You mind if I go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to use my action to activate my cloaking field.
Oh, yes, of course. Fuck that shit, I'm out.
Fuck that. I do have to roll my reactor die.
It's that one fucking meme of the dude piecing out and disappearing.
I don't know what it means to roll my reactor die, but I rolled a 4.
You're safe. If you roll a 1 or a 2, your reactor die downgrades, and then I believe if you're fully downgraded and then fail, I think you either blow up or you go like you power down and you can't do anything.
Yeah, you're overheated.
Isn't it overheat?
Dear God.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you take enough damage, you can blow up.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward twice because I have booster sprint.
Oh my God, we have 3 people with booster sprint.
Fuck yeah.
I'm a scout mech.
It's standard issue.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I have to roll my reactor die again, but
That's hilarious.
so yeah, just I peace out and I move.
All right, so
Towards
you're moving twice. You would go from far to. You're technically close. I mean, it's still attached to a skyscraper, but we'll say because of how big your mech is, you would now be considered at close range for when it comes back to you. So cloak, booster sprint, move twice.
Yeah. Did you roll the reactor for the boost?
I did.
Too? Cool.
I did. I got a 3, so I'm not worried.
Mid-switch, you are up. You have debris in front of you, but I realize I put debris in front of the spider mech.
So, like, it's just like perched on a tower. How far away is it really from me?
It would be considered, for you guys in the back, I think it would be considered distant. I think that's the furthest range.
Okay. I will take a move action to move a little bit closer. Crawling over the debris, like just like 1 foot at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will use a use action to reach behind me with one of my hands and like open a compartment on my thorax and like grab a chain and like attach it to the bottom of the like great sword. Yeah, and essentially kind of like pull some of the chain out of the reel and just like look towards it like with just the biggest shit-eating grin.
You have made a throwing chainsword. Okay. Well, we are on to the Kaiju Tyrant's turn.
What a good name.
Who, unfortunately for him, fortunately for you, cannot see Igor. But it can see a giant spider, who currently is not there.
He also went invisible.
It could also see pandas.
That is true. Panda is up there.
Uh-huh.
You thought you were going to get killed by a mob beam? Well, actually, it's going to be Panda. You know what?
Yeah, that's fine.
You know what? No, you got this, Panda. You see that it charges up. It starts to glow this deep blue as its mandibles crack open, and you see this maw beam. Roll me mobility.
Uh-huh. Success.
Okay, so the fun thing about MechaHack is it's not, it's not like it's not going to deal damage to you if you pass. Like, you pass, it deals no damage to you. But I still get to describe some really awesome shit. It opens its mandibles and lets loose this maw beam. And it is essentially like purified emulsion from Gears of War. Except like this dark, lightish blue, like volatile stomach acid that it is firing into the street towards you, and you are able to jump out of the way, or however you would dodge out of the way of this maw beam, and everyone is able to see except for Bruce, who is still behind the mass amounts of debris. Everyone is
you just
able
hear
to,
the carnage. That's all.
Everyone is able to see where once the spot where Dansleeve once stood is now a burning crater, as it is still actively melting into the street. And it is going to then move. It is going to enter the skies, and it's going to move it's going to stay far. It's going to stay where it is, except it's just going to begin, like, flying directly in spot, staring down at you all. Which brings us next to the final two mechs between Bruce and Dansleeve.
You go ahead.
All right. So, after having, I essentially imagine him kind of like boosting sideways slightly to get out of the way of the apparently beam of emulsion fired at him. Since I have no real, essentially. Oh boy. Since I have, sorry, I'm just trying to formulate what I'm gonna ask. What's the range of a light ranged weapon?
I think it's near and then far. You roll with disadvantage.
Gotcha. And right now it's currently far.
It would currently be far for you unless you took a move, and then it would be near.
So what he's gonna do is move forward, and as he's doing that, he's gonna be swapping out the heated axe for the machine gun that he normally carries on the back, and start firing at it. I'm assuming that's a mobility roll.
For a machine gun? Is
For a
it?
ranged weapon.
I think attacks are just power. Let me see.
Yeah, you generally test with power to determine if you hit.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
use power. I
Yep.
mean, either one's fine with me, but I'll go power.
Yeah. Mobility is speed, avoiding damage, and dodging, stuff like that.
Cool, that's a success.
All right, roll your damage. You managed to land some rounds, which again, mecha machine guns, even when they're submachine guns, are essentially heavy bolters.
That is max damage for 8.
8 damage?
Uh
Oh my god! I should have buffed up my tyrant. How do you kill it?
huh. Oh, perfect. So as he dodges out of the way and starts bolting in closer, pulling out that machine gun, he'll aim it, and as I'm assuming its mouth is still wide open, like as a, you just see him start peppering it right into the fucking mouth to blow it through the back of its skull. And as it starts falling towards him, just kind of leap up over it as it starts crashing behind him after that.
As you do that, Igor, for reasons, can you give me a mobility, please?
For reasons, yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what these reasons are. Let me see. God, I'm so happy my mobility is what it is. That's a crit! Success!
You rolled a 1?
I rolled a 1.
How do you avoid the falling kaiju that you were once standing under?
I knew that was gonna happen. You know what? You know what? Let's be a little bit dramatic. As the kaiju is falling, I wanted to appear to the others, and it just kind of just seems to split in half as it falls. As my mech is just going to take the combat knife and carve straight up to prevent it from just collapsing in on him, and just keep carving until it's just around him, and then just the blood just seems to hover in the air on the still invisible mech.
Mm-hmm. And like the Predator, like any of the Predator scenes when he's I love that. So as you shoot down the tyrant Dansleave and leap over the corpse to the other side, and Igor slices it in half, I get to be evil for a second, because as you slice it in half with dramatics and let the blood drench over you, the blood is going to deal 2 damage to you as it burns away at your chassis.
Bitch.
For 2 damage that you can reduce from either your HP or your armor.
I'll just take it from my HP. That's fine. It's fine. It's okay. There is definitely this moment where there's a crackle of static as if I'm about to say something, and then just no.
After this, Bruce just gets to the top of the tower and just looks down. Good job, team!
Blood on the mech head slowly turns to look to Bruce.
We did it!
Turns back. Crawling over the building.
All right. You guys are able to continue your way to the Arc Reactor. As you arrive through the gates of the reactor, the 2 large, what are appropriately named Kaiju Dismantlers. They look like if you crossed a spider with a praying mantis. It has the back thorax of a spider with these large mandibles and these giant pincers for arms, as they are actively and seemingly unaffectedly eating the arc energy from the reactors.
Do they see us?
If they do, they don't seem bothered by your presence yet. They seem very intent on eating the reactors. And you would all know, should the reactors fall, there might not be a District 12 or 11 or 10 or 9 or 8 or half the city.
Can I boost sprint and try to just shoulder chuck one of them down?
Go for it.
Okay.
Give me a power.
Okay, so reactor pass. 9 matches a 9 for power, so that's a fail.
So it's not a critical fail, so I will give you an out. You are able to stop yourself before slamming into the reactor. What else?
What would happen if what would happen if I went into the reactor? Would I know that?
You would probably. So the Arc Reactors are the lifeblood of the cities in this planet. They power everything on the Arc grid.
Would it like disintegrate me?
It probably wouldn't feel nice. But to be
would
fair,
it power down the city?
No sane pilot has ever actively chosen to shoulder check an arc reactor.
Well, hopefully it stays that way.
So you're stopping yourself before you hit the reactor?
Yeah. No, I don't want to hit the reactor, no.
So as you go running in, boosting in, it is definitely clear at this point they notice you rush in, clearly with the intent to stop them from devouring the reactors. And so their beady black eyes on these, this massive like bug-like head look up at you, and we're gonna do initiative again.
Also, how big are they compared to me? I'm a standard-sized mech.
They are maybe slightly smaller than you, but they're still massive.
Okay, yeah, so they're not like Colossus.
No, they're definitely smaller than mid-switch.
Okay, I passed finally. 7 under 9.
Yes.
I see my usual luck with initiative remains true because I failed. Let it be
I
known.
also
Doesn't
failed.
matter. Doesn't matter what game I roll shit initiative.
Okay.
I rolled an 18. That would have been great in other games, but it's fine.
Because I rolled a 19 as well. I'm like, oh, cool. That would have been amazing if it was 5e.
All right. So, Bruce and Igor, the two of you are up first. Whoever would like to go. Bruce, you are definitely close. I'll say everyone else, you are at the... Because you're inside the reactor field at this point, you are at the near range.
I'm the only one close to them right now in close range, right? Or
Yes.
someone else?
You're in close,
Okay.
the others are near.
And are there 2 of them or more?
There are 2. There are 2 massive arc reactors, and both of them are currently clinged to them. You are currently on the left side.
Okay. Can I slide in between them so there's one on both sides and the reactor right behind me?
Sure.
Okay. Then I'm going to drop down into like almost like a runner pose and then just slam the ground with my fist and activate my quake generator. And I'll take an attack action to which tests my presence, which is an 8 under a 9, so I pass. Those 2 close enemies are pushed back and take 1d6 damage.
Okay.
So they're pushed back from close to near, but away from their generators. And that's a pass on the reactor. And then for the damage, 1d6, they take 2 damage.
Okay, so both of them get blasted off this reactor and slammed to the ground, taking damage. As you let loose the quake, you do notice, all of you do notice that the arc reactors themselves seem to respond to the quake and send up a larger like shock wave through the sky as something happened.
Is it anything that impacts us on the ground?
Not currently.
Just no. Okay, cool. Keep them away from the reactors.
Igor.
That is my turn.
Am I still cloaked?
Yeah, if you wanted to be.
Cool, and they're near me, right?
They are in the near range, yes.
Cool, I'm shooting Kamunga Kamakiris #1. I'm shooting him with my gun.
Okay. I do think this will uncloak.
That's fine, but I get advantage because I was
yes,
cloaked.
You do.
I may not have needed it, but it's fine. Alright, that's definitely a success.
All right. Give me some damage.
Now comes the fun bit of this damage, because I get to do 2d6. Because ambush. If I'm reading that correctly, which I think I am. Yes. Deals an additional d6 of damage. So first... Alright. That's shitty-ass rolls. 3 damage.
3 damage. What does it look like as you obliterate one of these dismantlers? Or better yet, what does it not look like?
Yeah. There's like... I do like the idea of it is there's the predator uncloaking noise, but also the mech itself make like... as it uncloaks... As the mouth of the mech opens, as the revolver can be seen in the middle of it, and it just fires like a hole through the head of the one of the Kamunga Kamakuras.
Alright, and as it does, just blast the head apart, and it drops to the ground.
And then, because that was just, it's an action. I get one more of those. Can I attack a second time?
You can, but you have to roll your reactor.
I'll roll my reactor and attack a second time. And I'm going to do something... Instead of rolling my reactor die, I'm going to use my Geist system.
Oh?
Which lets me roll presence. And then if that fails, I then have to roll my reactor die.
Okay.
It doesn't fail, because my presence is a 20, you see.
That's impossible to fail.
I rolled a 6. And now I'm shooting it with my gun. That's going to hit. 3.
3. How do you kill the other one?
Loud reload sound as the revolver clicks, head twists, and another shot as it goes again through the skull.
And it goes through the skull as it lets out this like horrible screeching sound as it drops dead. And everything seemingly goes quiet. The arc reactor pulses once more in response to the quake and sends out another jolt into the sky. And you think, job well done. This is good. We've saved the city. Everything's great. Despite turning around and seeing all the destruction you've left in your wake. However, you guys have been having fun. It's my turn to have fun. All of you get essentially on your little like wrist-mounted gauntlets what is essentially the Subnautica Leviathan warning. As the reactors spark once more and let out this jolt of energy into the sky. And you see a black hole the size of the sun appear in the air. And out
Relative
from it...
us or literally?
Literally, like, this black hole is the size of a planet. And what appears from it in response to the jolts of arc energy is appropriately called a Kaiju Obliterator. It is a massive... You're fighting Unicron, or Galactus. This massive, multi-armed, winged beast with murder in its eyes appears in the sky above you all. And I'm going to go one by one. Panda. For everyone's information, again, it has been years since there have been kaiju attacks. It has been decades since an obliterator has ever shown its face. The obliterators are probably ghost stories to you. Probably from older veterans who go, back in my day, this was the normal size of kaiju. And tell you just stories about these creatures. You're seeing an obliterator for the first time with your very eyes. What is your character's reaction?
I think for the first time, just because, he's still fairly young, despite as clearly battle-hardened as this guy usually is. The instincts in his brain are telling him, no, fuck this. But the training that's been drilled into his brain since he's a child makes him stay. As he's just staring at this massive thing in the sky.
And as you're staring at it, the camera would shift to the cockpit of Mid-Switch. You see this obliterator. They haven't been seen for decades. And even then, they really only appear one at a time. How do you react?
He looks up at this, catastrophe that is coming towards them, and essentially looks back at all the wreckage and goes, well, at least the insurance companies will pay out.
And as you have that thought, Bruce, what are we
I
thinking?
think Bruce is a little dumbstruck at first looking up, but then kind of picking himself up from where he did the quake generator. He takes a step forward to be side by side with Dawn Sleeve. And I think we have the same record where we were fighting since kids and stuff. So I feel like on the surface that never really comes up, but there's kind of deep down a camaraderie between him, between me to you. And he just kind of just stands next to you looking up. It's like, is this it? Are we going to survive this?
Survive or we die.
One last battle? Hold up my gauntleted mech fist.
And he'll just silently raise and tap it before moving to grab his axe.
And as the two of you do that, I cannot wait to hear what Igor's thinking.
For once, there is like pure, just dead silence in his cockpit as he's staring up at this thing. And he reaches over, pulls what looks like an old bottle of vodka, like maybe has been around since he was a kid. Uncaps it, takes a drink, sets it down. It looks up at the thing, just Sestre, which translates to "Sister, I meet death with a smile."
Ooh, that's hard. And I'm gonna let you meet death, because before we do initiative, I'm gonna do something very fun. Because I want to have some fun here. I would like, this is so sad, the two who are fist bumping. Camaraderie in action. Can the two of you roll mobility, please? As it unhinges its jaw and a Godzilla-level laser beam fires directly down.
Wow, the one time I fail.
That's
The one
fail.
time you fail.
They both failed. Oh my god, I'm rolling dice. So it's almost slow motion. For the other two, for Mid-Switch and Igor, you see you essentially hear the whoom, 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 whoom of Godzilla as it charges up its maw beam and fires directly down. And let me get my damage numbers correctly. Oh, that's 2d12.
Oh my god.
Oh my god,
Actually-
it better roll low.
Double ones, roll 2 ones. Do a me.
Oh, that one fell. That was not on the dice tray. Here we go. Will they die immediately? That is. I'll be fair to you all. I will show you what I rolled.
Oh no.
Firstly, a 5,
Okay.
and then a 3.
So 8 total.
8 total. How we looking, Mech?
I'm still alive.
So
My
all my
entire-
armor's gone, but I'm still standing.
Same, like the entire shield is disintegrated, so now I don't have that. And then bits of my shoulder pauldron, chest plate, everything's now pitted and worn and melted. Probably a little bit of the reactor glow is shining where it shouldn't be, but I'm still up.
Yep. That's
As
not much different from him either. A lot of the, the frame seems, because a lot of the frame is usually exposed from the way he seems badly functioning as it should be.
I'm going to ask you all now to roll initiative against the Obliterator.
Fail. I'm gonna get a different D20. Jeez.
Succeed. Rolled a 6.
So, what happens when you roll a 2?
That's
Just
only
normal?
on that's for reactor dice.
Okay.
If you roll a 1 or 2 on your reactor dice, your reactor downgrades.
Gotcha.
Unless you're is it a vet? You're just
Yes, it's a vet.
too old.
Yeah. Too many gray hairs
Then
for that shit.
I succeed.
Okay. So our only
one
fail
time.
is Bruise. Let me just mark this down. Good old fashioned sticky note DMing. And then, alright, so between Densleeve, Mid-Switch, and Igor, decide who would like to go first. It is currently far away from you, as it is currently descending from the skies after lighting you the fuck up with a maw beam. And it is on fast approach.
Mid-switch. It's on at far.
It is at far.
All right.
I will-
Move action.
If you want to throw your axe, you can. It will be at disadvantage. Or your chain blade.
Right. Yeah, why not? That does sound fun. We'll climb up over like the rubble a little bit so that like he's like a little bit like higher away from like most buildings, like
Mhm.
and then like we'll essentially like slide the handle out of his hand a little bit, letting it like drop a bit, and then like swinging the chain to like get that like kind of spinning motion before just letting it go.
Alright, disadvantage power.
That is a fail,
You
so it misses.
swing it, and it goes. Despite this creature being gigantic, bigger than gigantic, the sword just isn't big enough, or the chain isn't long enough, and just doesn't make it.
Can I go with the like I just miss, like it goes past it?
Sure.
Okay. I would like to roll a reactor die to attack again.
Okay.
Let's see. Where's my others?
Is pulling the chain back and forcing the blade.
So I just rolled a 6. It doesn't matter. None of the vent's gonna hit it or anything. But like, essentially, I vent as I like pull the chain to like whiplash it back. And that would be a critical fail. Chain breaks.
Ooh, okay. I'll give you a choice here. Chain breaks and your sword goes flying. You keep the chain. The axe slams into a reactor.
I like the reactor idea. I know that that's detrimental to our cause, but that's funny to me.
I'm still standing right in front of the reactor. Yay!
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Some
so
of you may die.
you pull back on the chain, and the giant chain sword slams into one of these arc reactors and like cuts into it. Bruise. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to ask for a mobility. Honestly, no. I think I'm gonna have to ask for a mobility from everyone, as it lets out this pulse of energy.
Success.
I rolled a 2 with my initial roll, which would have been great. That would have been lovely, but I am in garrison mode. Therefore, that I roll with disadvantage, and I rolled a 17, which is a massive fail.
One of the things I love about this game. I failed.
I
Also
succeeded.
rolled a 17.
Okay, so anyone who failed, as the pulse goes out, I'm gonna say it affects you harder, Bruise, because your armor's gone. Panda, you succeeded? Okay. It affects you harder, Bruise, because of your lack of armor to shield from the blast. You feel...
This is...
Mhm.
This is, sorry for interrupting. This is kind of self-detrimental, but I would also argue that it would be worse for me as well, because whatever like electrical discharge, whatever blast would be also running down my chain.
It's gonna be bad for you. It's just not gonna be as worse because you still have shield to take some of the brunt. So for Bruise, as this energy washes over you, you begin to feel sluggish, almost as if your mech is shutting down, but you begin to fight it. You're reduced to 1 action for the remainder of this fight.
Okay.
Mid-switch,
Work with that.
as this energy washes over you, your shields take the brunt of it, but it also eats away at your shields. Any armor you have, reduced to 0.
Oh my god.
And I do think that's your turn, as you unleash the power of an arc reactor. It does go further. It doesn't just hit you. You notice it washes over a solid section of at least Sector 12 and maybe Sector 11. And as you kind of look behind you and see the wave, yeah, there are definitely skyscraper lights shutting off.
As I'm witnessing this blackout, he's just like, well, that's coming out of my paycheck.
And now we are to either Dansleeve or Igor.
You or me?
Yeah, you go. I got nothing right now, buddy. It's far away, and I have a revolver knife.
Okay. So
there's a million aliens, and I have a bow and arrow.
yeah. I mean, I got an axe and an SMG. What do you want from me?
Be a distraction, big dog. I don't know.
Boost sprinted up.
So those reactors are still going. At least the one that was hit, is it still active or?
It seems to be occasionally sparking, but not as active as the second one. And there's currently a chain blade stuck into it.
This is just me trying to visualize it in my brain. Is the chain still energized?
I imagine it's probably being coursed through, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's just flavor at this point that I'm asking.
Here's
at this point,
here's sticky note oh no, it's not going to appear. Sticky note visualization. The little angle is the chain blade on the arc reactor.
Screw it. It's only far right now.
It is. Yes, it would be far. However, if you're gonna do what I hope you're gonna do, you could do it.
Okay. So, I'm gonna use my booster sprint.
Mm-hmm.
So let me roll the reactor die real quick.
I'm hoping that great minds think alike.
Okay. That was a 2, so I don't know what happens.
So your reactor die downgrades.
What's it downgrade from a D4?
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh.
Buddy.
Oh no. Oh.
Does that mean I overheat?
Reactor die. When you roll a 1 or a 2 on a D4 die, your mecha becomes overheated. Your reactor die remains a D4 until you complete a rest. Overheated mecha. An overheated mecha cannot take actions and has disadvantage on all tests. You skip your next turn to expel heat and cool off, and lose the overheated condition at the start of your next turn. So, what does it look like as you try to do what you do, but overheat and go inert?
So, I imagine it's actually because of having got hit with that blast from like the residual heat built up on his reactor. So as he tries to get his boosters to start kicking on, as he tries to move forward, you'll see them sputter out, and it makes his entire suit lock up from overheating, as like wherever the core is sitting is sort of pulsing and glowing from that heat, and he's just stuck there now. Like he can't move out of that.
And as you go inert, Igor.
All right. I'm going to booster sprint. I'm gonna Geist system first. I can't fail that. Unless I rolled a nat 20, so it doesn't matter. I did not. So I'm going to booster sprint. I'm going to do 2 things with it. I'm going to first run and just kick off of Panda's mech to get as much leap as I can to grab the chain to haul myself up towards the kaiju as far as I can get.
Okay. Oh my god. See, this is what I thought Panda was gonna do. I was like, that's why I said I hope great minds. I was like, please run up the chain, please run up the chain, please run up the chain. Okay, so you are dashing, grabbing the chain blade, and throwing yourself up.
Yes.
Okay. Give me a... I'm gonna let you do it, because it's cool. I'll say you can do it, but I want a mobility to see how cool it is.
Cool, okay. That's a 1!
Okay, I'll let you decide how cool it is.
So, like, literally dig claw into Panda's mech's shoulder and then launch myself up, grabs the chain, and as it, like, Tai Lung style swings around, as it comes to the other side, my mech is gone. And then just, like, camera slowly pans up, and it's in the air, like, heading towards the kaiju.
Alright.
You're visible, right?
Yes.
Alright. Go for your... If you are able to, you can do an attack.
I'm going for an attack. I want to see if I can get my knife stuck into the kaiju or whatever I can pull through.
Okay.
Son of a bitch! There
What'd
are
you-
numbers between 1 and 20.
What'd you
Just
get
roll
there?
20.
20.
Okay, so here's the fun thing. We're gonna play this. The kaiju's up next.
Oh no.
Can you roll me? Ooh, actually, hold on here. Oh my god, wait a minute. This attack doesn't have a save. I think it just does.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Are you dead?
Am I dead? Do I make my new character now?
Everyone watches as Igor swings upwards, goes high into the air, and tries to come down with their knife onto the kaiju. However, you miss.
Yeah.
And as you're falling, everything goes slow-mo. You look forward in your cockpit, and you see void. And you think for a second, huh? What is this? And then you realize you see teeth in that void. And then you realize you're slowly falling in front of the mouth. It's going to consume you.
Oh!
The ability of consume automatically happens, however, it has a recharge after it's used. It immediately drops you to 0 HP. Now, when you're dropped to 0 HP, a fun thing happens. When you drop to 0 HP, your mech becomes disabled. A disabled mech cannot take actions until repaired and automatically fails all tests. Additionally, when you become disabled, you have to roll on the disabled mecha table to see what happens. Would you want me to do the honors, or would you like to do the honors of rolling a d8?
I'll do the rolling a d8. That's fine. Oh my god. All right, let's go. 5.
5. Okay. This is kind of funny because it happens anyways. For all intents and purposes, you are consumed. You are in the belly of the beast. To everyone watching, Igor is gone. Your mech is disabled. You are being consumed, and it is very funny. You rolled 5. As you are consumed, your comm systems go down, and you cannot communicate with anyone.
Fuck.
It's like just going in a parking garage. Just
So
come
everyone
back
watches
online in a little bit.
this very cool thing. Igor jumps off of Dan's leaf, grabs the chain, swings themselves to slice into this kaiju, and then holy shit, Igor just got eaten.
Should I just go make my other character now?
Go make your other character, and we'll
Cool.
circle back.
Cool.
Although I think the circling back is just going to be Igor melting to stomach acid of an obliterator.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and make my other character now. That's fine. Just
So I'll say this for the rest of you. As Igor disappears, you all get a notification on your little wrist gauntlet from inside your cockpits that simply reads, "Call sign Igor deactivated." The second that Igor disappears, it pops up on your gauntlet. And now, it is Bruce's turn. The kaiju is going to swallow Igor and then move from far to near. It is closing.
What? Oh, so it's now near. It's
Yes.
not so high up in the sky anymore. So I wouldn't need the chain to be able to jump towards it with my boost jets.
I wouldn't say so.
Okay. It's my turn to plant or do a running start with taking my only action is my move. But using the boost sprint, let me roll my reactor die. That allows me to move 2 spaces, or enough to hopefully get up. I rolled a 2, so I go down a die, so I'm a D4 now. And I'll put my foot on your other shoulder and launch myself up and activate the boost jets. But it's now closer, so I don't need the chain to be able to get up close. And then I'll just grab actually. So I have one action, you said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking a move action using the module boost sprint, and then I also have the Chasis ability charging strike. So he's using a Chasis ability because it's saying move, and then you get an immediate free attack.
I'll allow it.
Okay, so it's not an attack action; it's still under the move, but I do have to roll another reactor die as a D4 for this to work. Otherwise, I'm jumping for nothing. I put my foot on your shoulder, boost jet up, and then it powers down in the middle of it. So as I'm boosting up, lock up, and then I just lead weight fall back down to the ground.
Okay. So it's back to the top.
Tried. Would I take fall damage? I don't remember if
I'm not
that's a
gonna
thing.
say so.
Okay.
Mid switch, one mech just disappeared into the belly of the beast. 2 mechs are currently deactivated. You're the only bastion currently standing against an obliterator.
All right. I have a question just because I think this is funny. Depending on where it's at and the level of like length and looseness of the chain, could I like jump rope the chain above the kaiju?
I'll allow it. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that and try to like use the leverage of the kaiju and like the chain to like get my sword out of the freaking reactor
All right.
and like I don't know, try to pull off a grapple or something with the chain.
All right. Roll for power.
Uh, that's well, do you want me to roll with disadvantage?
Because it's stuck in the... Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well that still passes with an 8. So
All right. I'll say, yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's really grapple rules, but this is an attack. You can deal damage to it.
all right. I would like to thematically flavor this damage as not so much from like the sword or whatever. So I'll just do basic like D6 damage or whatever. But I would like to burn my reactor to try to like essentially yank the fucker down into the ground.
Okay.
Maybe like so that's a 2 on my reactor, which is a pass because I'm too old for that shit.
Love it.
Pew, and then I guess I'll roll damage. 5 for the initial attack, and then another 5 from the ground. Garrison mode, that would be 4 more damage.
Okay. You swing the sword.
Garrison. Actually, I have to roll that. Hold on, because that would be a D4 for each encounter of damage. 3 damage.
Okay. You swing the sword and wrap it around the obliterator, and with all your might, drag it down and slam it down. It goes from near to close. It is... You've seemingly heard it, and definitely pissed it off.
Okay.
Now...
Would that just be my first one action? Or would that...
I would think that... I think I might have to say that pulling the chain out would take an action.
Okay, that's fair. I did roll a reactor for that, so that would count.
Igor, you're in the belly of the beast. So, I mean, you could certainly try getting out on foot.
No. No. I'm gonna die in my mech. I'll die in my mech. That's fine.
Drink that vodka.
just finish the last of it.
Yeah, he raises the vodka bottle, takes a drink of it, and is just going to very calmly like pull down on a switch and just shut down the mech essentially.
And that is the last we see of Igor. Dan's leave, you technically can still do stuff. It is just at a great disadvantage unless you skip this turn to allow your vents to cool.
So, despite the danger, he's just gonna go for the more guaranteed thing and vent because he's not gonna be able to do jack shit otherwise.
All right. So skipping this turn to expel the heat and cool off. Your next go about, you will be available. The Obliterator's pissed off. It just got yanked to the ground and doesn't rightly appreciate it. It is going to unleash its claws on one of the claws is going to go towards mid-switch. And the other claw, because it has two, and it has to be, I think it has to be two different people. It's going to go towards Bruise. So, Bruise, can you even make mobility checks while...
I have some.
Tests are at disadvantage, aren't they?
I'm overheated, which means no actions, and I have disadvantage on all tests.
So I need the two of you to make mobilities. Bruise is at disadvantage as these massive rending claws come through.
I too am at disadvantage due to garrison mode. I rolled an 18, so I failed.
Oh.
Hold on, let me turn this off, because I need to prove that I am not cheating. Double threes.
Okay, so you pass.
I make it.
So it's probably it's too busy, angered at mid switch for its claws to fully connect with your disabled mech, and it's gonna roll its damage. This one was off the board. Oh. That is 14 points of damage.
14, you
yes,
said?
sir.
Okay. There for a moment, I was like, 50 points of damage. I am out of here.
50 would be insta-death, but thankfully, you just get disabled, so you have to roll a d8.
I have to roll a d8?
Yes.
3.
3.
I'm still up. I have that half health.
Oh, that didn't disable you?
No, 14 points of damage?
Oh
or 15 points of damage?
God,
I'm a Colossus, man. I'm level 3. I have like 29 maximum health.
That's fair. So you're still up. You don't have to roll a d8. Oh my God.
That would have killed
okay.
me. That's why I had to show the dice.
So it is its turn, and then down to Bruise, who I imagine you're venting.
Yeah, I'm just gonna vent.
All right.
While I'm venting, because I landed so heavily, I like roll over onto my back and just puff out my chest, and this steam shoots out.
How's the Igor replacement coming?
She is done.
Okay, so at the top, again, back to Dan's leave, mid-switch. Everyone gets a notification on their little wrist gauntlets. What's the call sign that they see get activated?
Discord.
So everyone sees Discord or call sign Discord activated, and you hear the do of the massive chopper blades as a new mech slams down into the battlefield. What do we look like?
As a bit of flavor, a mech doesn't drop down. What looks like a giant, almost like cage, falls down first. Like the door, like as it slams, pops open. You all hear a legitimate growl, like an animalistic growling sound. I got to do it first, buddy. As a pair of bioorganic arms grab the sides of the cage as a half chrome, like metallic, and half bio, almost Godzilla-esque head pulls out of the cage. And as it looks around in the biomechanical eye, you can see what seems to be the core of this new ride. As inside, almost like plugged fully into this hybrid mech, is a woman with a half-scarred face that looks like burn scars or plasma burn scars from a kaiju. Her body's like fully integrated into, and as her head like lifts up through all of your comms, regardless of if they are on or not, you hear targeting acquired.
So the last thing that Igor hears is targeting acquired.
Igor raises the vodka as his sister Markova has arrived onto the.
And I'm gonna make an executive DM decision. You're first.
Cool. How close is this kaiju?
It is close. It has been slammed into the ground.
All right. You know what? We're just going to open up with something fun. We're going to use one of my modules immediately. I'm going to go ahead and roll for the reactor first. Cool. Success. We're going to use Missile Barrage.
Oh!
Yeah, as its body like lunges out, and it does appear to look like almost a fusion of a kaiju and a. As it lunges out, its mouth opens way too wide for how it. As you hear this, as a missile battery pushes out of its mouth, and then
Oh my god!
a salvo of missiles testing power. Make sure that's a success. It is. So it's going to take 4d4 damage.
Oh!
And I'm just gonna roll via internet because I don't have 4d4s. 6 damage.
Ooh! Brutal. Okay, it blasts into it. You do see like chunks of the kaiju's flesh like blow up and like go flying into the air as this deep green blood is ichor and spread everywhere. As it blows up and the blood goes everywhere. Bruise and mid-switch, and I think I'm pretty sure Dan's leave as well are all close to it. Everyone takes 4 points of acid damage as the salvos send the acid blood spurting onto all of you.
I'm still up. Well, I'm on the
Same.
ground, but I'm still alive.
Still functioning.
I have 10 HP left.
I'd call that a successful entrance.
I have 6 HP, but I'm almost done recharging.
It still has one more action.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was just the first attack. It's close, right?
It is close. If you want to attack again, it is a reactor.
I know.
I hate that.
It's because overheating with this thing is a very different prospect. She is going to attack again. First off, rolling for the reactor.
Midnight.
Still good. Still good. I think I'm close enough to just run up and swing at it as its arm lashes out and then pushes out longer as if it's dislocating. But instead of bone, the arm swings out as a great axe appears from where the bone would have landed. And I'm just going to swing with this heavy melee weapon at it. That's a 4. So that's gonna hit. You will take... What's my damage die again? Okay, good. It's a... Oh my god. Hold on, I need the slightly bigger die.
No.
You know what? We're gonna have fun. I'm gonna use my energy modulator.
Everyone is going to take 4 points of acid blood damage from this attack.
Good girl.
Okay, my reactor's still going strong. So it is going up from a D10 to a D12 of damage.
Oh boy.
And 4 damage?
Yep,
To
4
me?
damage.
Acid damage?
4 damage to everyone, all 4 of you. What'd
All
you
right,
get?
That's so with the... Well, hold on. Let me see from the axe what it already has. Because I think the axe is a +2 as well. Yeah, it's +2 to the axe, so 14.
Okay. I gotta do math. And by math, I mean, calculator. Okay. This... Okay. So, I had a plan, and then you just dealt a bunch of damage. And that plan is currently down the drain. It is very funny that this happened immediately after your first character died. You have dropped it to -5 HP. So as Discord immediately joins the fight, how does Discord kill the Obliterator?
So, missile barrage got scattered everywhere. I like to imagine that it's not like this mech is really... This mech is not really controlled. It's more contained in a very specific spot. So, axe goes down, like, cleaves into it, and instead of, like, pulling it out, it just drags the body to just start slamming the axe.
Ooh.
In the most, like, Omni-Man beating the crap out of Mark Grayson, like, just as much blood and gore as possible. And then at the last, just, like, pulls the head off,
And
looking up at it.
you rip this massive head off this Obliterator, leaving the corpse behind for whatever poor soul has to clean it up. All of you, almost instantaneously, as this thing dies, well, not instantaneously, but a couple minutes pass, and on your wrist gauntlets, you get a notification from the Light Corp saying, "Sentry turrets back online, shield generators active." And you do see a shield generator, or a shield, like a Star Wars shield generator, reappear over the sector. However, the portion of the sky where the Obliterator appeared is a giant missing chunk of shield. And as it happens, Discord, you get a notification that simply says, "Containment process reinitiating." Bruce and Dansleave get notifications of a job well done. Mid-switch gets a notification of your bank account being drained for repairs.
I'm gonna be eating nothing but ramen for months.
But the Light Corps thanks you for saving New Light City, or so it seems, at least, with a missing chunk of the shield and one of the arc generators definitely being rough and about half the city blacked out. As we end this one shot, which ran kind of long. Whoops. I'm gonna steal from you, Javante. We're gonna go in order, starting with Panda. Tell everyone who you are again and where people might find you on the internet.
Oh boy. Hi, I'm Ren Pandacola, or Panda for short, or any combination of my username. Doesn't matter. You can find me every Thursday, whether including this Thursday, in fact, on Javante's channel, Eclipse 613, either on Set Sail this Thursday, or One Piece 5e, where our crew is currently in a horror is the best way to explain this shit. We're dealing some creepy shit. Opposite Thursdays is where you can find 3 of us. That includes Pi on the same channel, same time, which is, I believe, 8:30 Central Time, I believe. Playing Blood and Cinders, our 5.9 created by one Logan Laidlaw of where we're also dealing with
Horror?
extra dimensional horrors.
Yes. Mr. Rat King, advertise yourself. What you got going on in the internet space, if anything?
Nothing. And not all that wonder are lost. Don't try and find me. Leave me alone.
Adrian, plug yourself.
I go by Lee6113 online. I have a tabletop role-playing game group, sort of. It's kind of dead, and a couple games that I like to run when I have time, which is very rare these days. So I am so happy to play. Thank you for running, Pi. Good to see you all again. Yeah, you can catch me probably on Pi server is the easiest way.
And last but not least, for the players, Mr. DM who likes to torture me on Thursdays.
Howdy, I'm Javante. I'm the DM that likes to torture Pi on Thursdays, and also all my friends on Thursdays. I run games over on my channel, Twitch 13. This Thursday I'm running Set Sail, a One Piece 5e D&D actual play adventure that includes Red Panda Cola, playing a part giant, because I couldn't think of a feasible way that I could fit a giant on. On opposing Thursdays, I run Blood and Cinders, set the world of Stamina as law that includes Panda and also PieGuy. I just like to torture because he's the dad, and why not?
Named after this guy right here.
Yeah. I have a casting call on my for Naruto 5e because I'm just the DM that runs anime games. Sign up for that.
Sword Art Online. I would play that.
let me preface. I'm the DM that likes to run anime.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's up there. If you were interested. Also, soon TM, I have my other game coming on a platform I can't talk about. But I have a way to release it onto a different thing that I'll talk about later with this episode. That's the thing that's happening. And holy crap, really exciting news. I'm in a panel. Next week at some point, I'll probably talk about it more on my Twitter. I and a few other really cool people will be talking about being by POC or just kind of black in the space of TTRPGs. It's run by my good friend Irving. Also, it'll be super awesome if you all watch because it's going to be a very insightful topic for a lot of folks. Other than that, that's kind of all that I'm doing. That's TTRPG related. I'm writing a book for the Karkaradons of War K. That's kind of me. I'm busy.
And I've been your lovely DM, Kaiju Master for the night, Pie Guy, whatever you want to call me. I am found on Thursdays. Do I gotta repeat it? I don't think I do. I play a gambling bard on Thursdays that gets horribly tortured because he's a dad. And other than that, every other Sunday, I run a Monster Hunter themed campaign with Mr. 6113 in it. It is very fun. We use the Heliana's Guide to Monster Hunter Hunting book and world. Very fun. The party are currently trying to ambush some harpies. And when you can't find me there, I'm kind of everywhere. I run games. Yeah, I'm in games. I run games. You can find me in games. But yeah, thank you everyone for playing. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been Defend the Reactors. I call it a successful defense. I think. Maybe a smidge.
We did put a hole in the fence. It would be a defense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
$148 billion in property damage, 1 pilot and mecha gone, Imperial Pyrrhic victory.
But that has
We'll just
been
give all the super citizens a special assessment.
that has been the game, and it has been a blast. Till the next one.
What?